Thank you for checking out our video on 403Bs, where we will help answer the following questions. What is a 403B? What is a TPA? Are there different options? What's my contribution type and my amount? First, what is a 403B? A 403B is a retirement account made available for those that work for a nonprofit such as a school district or a hospital. You may have heard of a 401k before. The 401k is a lot like the 403b, except 401ks are for employees of for-profit companies. Anybody earning a paycheck at an employer where a 403b is offered is eligible to contribute. For employees of a public school, the 403b acts as a supplement to their pension. Unlike your pension, you have much more control over your 403b. You decide how much to contribute, how to contribute, and in many cases, even which company to utilize as your provider. From there, you're able to decide how your savings are invested. Some plans even allow ROTH contributions. More on that later. As great as it is to have options, you must make sure that you're taking full advantage of that flexibility. When talking about contributions, the maximum that you can contribute in 2021 is $19,500 with a catch-up provision for those that are 50 years of age or older that allows them to contribute an additional $6,500. This means that somebody who is 50 years or older can contribute up to $26,000 per year into their 403b account. The important thing for you to know is why you are contributing whatever it is that you are contributing. Far too often, we see that somebody has been contributing the same amount for the past several years because they chose a number that they felt good about at the time and then never adjusted it as their circumstances changed. Did we choose that contribution amount because it will help us accomplish our goals, or do we choose that number because it worked for them at the time? After you know how much you want to contribute, you need to figure out which provider you're going to use. Normally, a school will have a TPA or a third-party administrator. A company like Omni will act as the record keeper for the district and keep track of who is contributing to which provider. You've heard me mention the word provider several times by now. The TPA will have the list of options that you, as an employee, can choose to use to save. This is a sample provider list. As you can see, there are several companies' names on here. Each option will be different, and that is the most important thing to pay attention to. Much like the contribution amount, we find that a common issue is that people start their 403b with the first person they talk to, and they don't think to revisit the provider list and see if there are any updates as time goes on. One thing to be aware of is meeting with somebody actually from one of the companies on the provider list. This opens the door to possible conflicts of interest. The main points you want to be aware of when choosing your provider that differ from company to company are the following. Possible surrender periods. Some providers, mainly variable annuity options, have a surrender period built in. This means you may be unable to move your money or switch providers during a set period of time without paying a fee to do so. These can be several years in length and are extremely important for you to understand. Next, make sure you understand the fees and costs associated with the option that you are choosing. Furthermore, understand how your advisor gets paid. It may seem taboo, but asking your advisor, how are you compensated? Or do you have any incentive to recommend one of these options over another? Are all very fair questions to be asking and crucial for you to understand. Another point that would be ideal for you to understand is what investment options do you have? Do you have the ability to contribute to a Roth 403b? The difference between a traditional 403b and a Roth 403b is the way that the money is taxed. Consider this chart. Contributions to a traditional 403b are pre-tax. The growth that you see over time grows tax deferred. The taxes are paid upon distributions when you are retired and actually using the money. This gives you the tax benefit today, knowing you've deferred the taxes to a later date. Roth 403b contributions, on the other hand, are after tax. The money you contribute has already been taxed, and the growth here is tax-free. Notice I said tax-free because even when it comes time to take distributions, those are tax-free as well. You're giving up the tax benefit today for later on down the road. The most common question we get surrounding this topic is, Which one is better? And the answer is always both. It just depends on which one makes more sense to be emphasizing right now. There are several factors that go into the decision of whether it would be better to emphasize saving into the traditional or Roth side. The important thing is understanding that down the road, having a strong balance in both will afford you and your advisor the flexibility in using the money that you worked so hard to save for, and in the most tax-efficient way possible. With the help of your advisor and a trusted certified public accountant, or CPA, you can pay taxes in a way that will allow you to keep more of your money in the long run. After figuring out traditional versus Roth contributions, we must have a plan with how you'll be invested within. Checking out our Investment 101 video will give you a fantastic baseline of knowledge on this topic. What happens if during my 30 or so year career, you switch districts or even decide to leave working in a public school altogether? It's easy. Your 403B goes with you. If you leave your employer, your account is freed up to either transfer into an individual retirement account away from any employer, or you can transfer it to a 403B at your new district. This is assuming you aren't tied up on any nasty surrender periods. At the end of your career and you're ready to collect your pension, you may ask yourself, now how do I actually use this money? Well, first, it is important to remember that a lot of districts, when it comes time for you to retire, will offer you a retirement incentive. This is a lump sum of money that's deposited directly into your 403B account. After you're retired, you have a few options on what to do with your money. You have the option to leave your money in the 403B or move it into an IRA away from the school district. There are benefits to both. If you leave the money in the 403B, you don't have to be 59 and a half to take distributions. If you're not concerned with taking distributions just yet, or happen to be over the age of 59 and a half, moving to an IRA could be beneficial. You don't need to get TPA approval when it comes time to take distributions, and you are free to move the money to any option or provider that you want. Your options are no longer dictated by the provider list set out by the school district. All you have left to do now is enjoy your retirement. You've earned it. Let us know what we can do to help you get there.